Glenn Beck, Censored by Apple Podcasts. The latest from podnews.net with the Dr. John Deloney Show.
Here, this is from Apple. We found an issue with your show, the Glenn Beck program, which must be resolved before it's available on Apple Podcasts. Your show has been removed from Apple Podcasts. Well, we got that one, dummy. We don't censor anybody. And out of all the shows, my show is the one to get nailed. Interesting.
In a social media post, Glenn Beck said Apple Podcasts had removed the Glenn Beck program because it was political censorship by the company. It wasn't. Pod News has learned that the issue was a trademark dispute from a third party. We understand that Glenn Beck's organisation was sent an email in late July but hadn't responded. Now, we've raised trademark disputes ourselves with Apple, and we link to one of the emails to podcasters that Apple will send in our show notes and our newsletter today. You can clearly see that it says that content will be removed if you fail to respond. Well, after Beck's company read the email and resolved the issue, the show returned to Apple Podcasts and listeners were unaffected. Our tip, to ensure the email you use in Apple Podcasts Connect and in your feed if you have one there is valid and you read it. Acast has announced that from September the 1st, it will no longer accept new campaigns that use Spotify's ad analytics. Acast remains focused on fostering an open and transparent environment, they say, working together with partners who share the same vision. They'll offer attribution from independent analytics company Podscribe for free to all advertisers, as well as work with a set of local companies in each region. Well, Spotify launched Spotify Ad Analytics in June, offering it for free to advertisers both on and off the platform, in what some saw as an opportunity for them to collect data on their competitors. Edison Podcast Metrics unveiled the US top podcast networks by reach, Spotify's number 1, SiriusXM number 2 and iHeartRadio number 3. Libsyn has unveiled predictive contextual targeting for podcast advertising. The company has also released data showing the size of the company's US unique monthly audience. It's over 16 million, bigger than the New York Times or NBC News. And they say they're on track to deliver 500 million monthly impressions. They've also signed beautiful stories from anonymous people for exclusive ad representation. The show was with Earwolf. Podcast Movement has unveiled all the parties planned for the event next week and news about guided yoga sessions at 7 a.m. We can guarantee we won't be at that. The BBC has added a Noiser show to BBC Sounds. Real Survival Stories continues to be available elsewhere, though. Cancelled with Tana Mongo has lost a sponsor after ad-libbing a host-read credit in the middle of a highly criticised show that made death threats against a small business. We regret to be in any way involved with her, said a spokesperson for Babbel, a language learning platform. And Triton Digital has released the New Zealand podcast ranker for July. In podcast news, Armchair Expert is now available for you to listen to us on all platforms, according to an announcement. The show became a Spotify exclusive in July 2021 and appears to be the latest to no longer be platform exclusive. Your Mama's Kitchen is new from Higher Ground, President Barack Obama and Michelle Obama's media company. Hosted by Michelle Norris, the first episode has Michelle Obama as a guest. Each of the episodes will be exclusively available on Audible for 2 weeks, then available widely wherever podcasts are found. And Football Ramble has returned for its 17th season, set to continue keeping listeners up to date with the most popular sport in the world. It's recently celebrated hitting 155 million downloads. This podcast is sponsored by the Dr. John Deloney Show. A more peaceful life is possible. For practical advice on dealing with loneliness, anxiety, depression, relationships and more, find the Dr. John Deloney Show wherever you get your podcasts. And that's the latest from our newsletter. To read all the stories and subscribe, we're at podnews.net.